ลาวถือเขาลานลุกล้ำเหยียบย่ำอาทิตย์ปไตยเฮาคนลาวอย่ามัวเสยดูใดจงรวมใจสร้าง
Free Lao Radio.
Welcome back. This is Free Lao Radio broadcast number 11. For first-time listeners, I'd like to say hello, welcome, and thank you very much for tuning in. Awareness is knowledge, and knowledge is power. For avid listeners, I offer a very warm welcome back. If you recall in our last broadcast, we focused on North Korean and Lao relations, specifically the North Korean and Lao software agreement. Let me remind you that North Korea has been training hackers for years, and perhaps we should be wary of the North Koreans sharing this knowledge and power with the Lao communists. It's just something to think about. We will now be moving back into our main focus, that is, the country of Laos. But before I continue, I would like to add that our prayers are still with Sambav Sampan, and in this broadcast, I would like to update you that Sambav Sampan is still currently alive. Every day, every hour, and every second, our intelligence network is working around the clock to procure any new intel. We will continually update you on all and any situation that may arise from any new information. For now, let's see what's going on in the country of Laos.
The Greater Mekong region in Southeast Asia could lose nearly a third of its forests within the next 2 decades if governments don't boost protection, a leading conservation group warned Thursday, saying the region's freshwater ecosystems are also threatened by planned dams. Burma, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam have lost nearly 1/3 of their forest cover over the past 35 years, leaving the region with about half of its natural forests, the report of the World Wildlife Fund said of the region centered around the Mekong River. The forests are being overtaken by farmland and replaced with agricultural plantations, growing rice, rubber, sugar, and other commodities for export, the report said. Other areas are damaged by logging, linked to a rise in demand for timber in China, Thailand, and Vietnam, while mangrove forests have been cleared to make way for rice paddies and shrimp farms. Using satellite imagery, the WWF's researchers calculated that between 1973 and 2009, Cambodia lost 22% of its forest cover, Burma and Laos each lost 24%, and Thailand and Vietnam each lost 43%. The hotspots most at risk for further deforestation include the margins of large forest blocks that remain in Cambodia, Laos, and Burma, the report said, adding that national statistics from Vietnam and China have masked overall losses in regional tree cover because they include large monocular plantations that are gradually replacing natural forests. The region has retained forests covering a total of some half of its land area, but if current deforestation rates persist, another third could be lost, with devastating consequences for wildlife, the report said. The Greater Mekong is at a crossroads, said Peter Cutter, a WWF conservation expert. One path leads to further declines in biodiversity and livelihoods, but if natural resources are managed responsibly, this region can pursue a course that will secure a healthy and prosperous future for its people, he said. The Greater Mekong region, which also includes southwestern China's Yunnan and Guangxi, is a biodiversity hotspot and supports some 70 million people depending directly on its ecosystems for food, water, and livelihood. The region is bound together by the Mekong River, which hosts 13 unique but interconnected freshwater ecosystems, which are threatened by planned dams. The controversial Xayaburi Dam under construction in northern Laos is a key threat to the health and productivity to the region, and will block migratory fish and sediment flow with devastating consequences for livelihoods and food security, the WWF warned. If all 11 planned dams on the main stem of the Mekong River are built, fish supply could be cut by 40%, the report said. But because the region is still rich in natural capital, building greener economies is still well within reach if regional governments coordinate properly, the WWF concluded. Given that the majority of the region's biological heritage and supporting ecosystems occur in landscapes that cross borders, regional collaboration is critical, Cutter said. Increased and more sustainable investment in maintaining ecosystem integrity must also be a priority at landscape, national, and regional scales. Loan approval puts Thailand-Laos-Vietnam rail on track. The planned Thailand-Laos-Vietnam line runs across southern Laos from Savannakhet to Lao Bao, while a second planned line links the capital Vientiane with China. A US $5 billion loan for Laos' planned rail link to Vietnam and Thailand has been approved, and studies on the project are underway in preparation for construction to begin this year, according to a Lao official. New Zealand financial institution Rich Banco Berhad agreed last week to provide a loan to Malaysian builder Giant Consolidated Limited to fund the construction of the 220-kilometer or 140-mile rail running across southern Laos from the Thai to the Vietnamese borders. Giant is now conducting studies on the project but has not yet completed the mandatory environmental impact assessment needed for construction to begin, a railways official told RFA's Laos service. According to new laws of Laos, any development project must have a detailed environmental impact study before construction begins, the official said, speaking on condition of anonymity. Now, Giant is still conducting the feasibility study, and there will be a project design study which the company expects to complete by August. Construction of the railway, which runs from Savannakhet City in the east to the border town of Lao Bao in the west with an onward link to Vietnam's Da Nang port city, is expected to take 4 years. Giant was awarded a contract to construct and operate the railway in November of last year, a month after Laos decided to go it alone on a second planned rail line, an ambitious 420-kilometer or 260-mile project linking Vientiane to southwestern China. Laos assumed the sole ownership of the project after a Chinese construction company pulled out of a joint partnership because they decided the project would not be profitable enough. Laos plans to borrow $7.2 billion from China to build the line, despite concerns from legislators and the Asian Development Bank that the project is unaffordable and could sink the country into debt. Vientiane and Beijing are still in the process of negotiating a deal to fund the project, another railways official told RFA, saying that the railway was crucial to landlocked Laos' future. It is a must. If we don't do it, we will be crushed by the wheels of history, he said, speaking on condition of anonymity. We must find a way to become a land-linked country. Laos has no coastline or seaports, and the rail links are expected to lower the cost of exports and consumer goods and help drive the impoverished country's socio-economic development. The country's current rail system consists of a 3.5-kilometer or 2-mile link over the Mekong River between the capital Vientiane and Thailand's Nong Khai. Last week, the Vientiane Times reported the government will start phase 2 of the line in the coming months, including constructing a container yard, upgrading railway signals, and improving the telecommunications system at Tanalang Station in Vientiane.
So the forest, the fish, and the livelihood of the Laos people are slowly disappearing. Why? The Laos Party and its puppet government are giving away all our land and natural resources instead of keeping them for the Lao people. Now they want to build a railway to further increase the rate at which they are distributing Lao natural resources to faster line their own pockets. The Environmental Investigation Agency released a report revealing how well-connected companies in Vietnam and Laos have been profiting off the illegal timber trade. The report found that although the government of Laos stated that it would take, quote, serious action to reduce the export of unprocessed natural resources, including timber, in order to support domestic industries, unquote, it is currently just lies. Further investigation by the Environmental Investigation Agency found unprocessed logs that flooded into Vietnamese cities. The ports of Quy Nhon, Da Nang, and Vinh were stacked with Laos logs ready to be supplied to Vietnamese factories and sold to international traders, while local Lao wood factories struggled to obtain such materials. Why does the Laos Party allow this to happen? Why not support its own people? They simply do not care. Their hearts are with profit and not for their people. In the report entitled Crossroads, I will share with you its recommendations. The scale and persistence of the illicit log trade between Laos and Vietnam is a glaring example of weak forest governance. The Lao government's policy of banning the export of raw timber is routinely flouted, with hundreds of thousands of cubic meters of logs flowing across the border every year. Meaningful inspection and regulation of logging operations on the ground in Laos are virtually absent. As a result, corruption in the forest sector flourishes. Logging quotas are awarded in a secretive process to well-connected individuals and companies, including the Vietnamese military. Bribery of officials is a routine business expense. The government of Laos should enforce its log export ban, publish details of all logging quotas and the selection process, and clarify rules for converting forest land for plantations. Once again, these are some recommendations from the EIA Crossroads report. As you can see, this broadcast focused mainly on what's going on right underneath our noses. I am simply bringing awareness to the Laos Party's lies and deception to its own people and the world. Before we end this broadcast, I want to extend an immense thank you to the students of the National University of Laos. These students have helped us immensely by supporting us and our cause. Thank you, students. Kop Chai from Free Lao Radio. If you would like to also lend your help and support our cause, please visit www.laofreedom.com. That's www.laofreedom.com. Stay tuned for the next broadcast as we explain why counterfeit U.S. currency as well as counterfeit keep are currently being discovered in Laos. Can this be in any way a tie between North Korea's counterfeit currency ability? Stay tuned and find out. This has been Free Lao Radio, broadcast number 11. And as usual, have an outstanding day.
เป็นเพียงหน้าฟ้า